Hey, howdy y'all. How's it going? Let's start this shit. Where the fuck am I going? Kazuwari in the western Deadfire Sea. Stunnage. Mashe. Like, can I just... Located west of Hasongo. Do I know where Hasongo is? Okay, so I'm guessing... here? Read. Captain, I have my gripes with the Navy from time to time, but I know we're here to do good work. Wish I could say the same about you. Someday you might learn what it means to be part of something important. You'll probably get yourself killed long before that revelation takes hold, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You have a knack for survival that I admire. You're more than busted up castle and twisted soul. You have a chance to be something incredible. The sooner you realize this, the sooner you can get to work making Eora a better place with the rest of us. Best of luck. Well, yeah, I just read that missive. I can't say I'm too broken up about that, since I didn't want her as part of my team anyway. So, womp womp.
You find yourself in cold, suffocating darkness.
I bet I do.
There is a familiar weight in your hand. A lantern. It sputters to life, and the world shifts into focus. A staircase spirals endlessly below you. With nowhere else to go, you start down.
Okay.
A wave of blistering heat hits you.
Oh, these assholes
then
again.
A sea salt wind. Divine voices boom and screech. Their words shake the platform beneath you, shake the very air around you. The gods are fighting.
Lay your blame elsewhere, Wodika. I won't suffer your arguments any longer.
Magrin looms large before you, an accusing finger leveled at the melted visage of Wodika. Wodika screws her mouth into a sneer.
You fool! If only we had attacked him when I first proposed it.
Accusations drip bitter as bile from her tongue.
Say nothing.
Wal smiles.
Enmity and animus, Watcher. Two old songs we sing in well-practiced harmony. Unable to reach accords, we compete to see who shouts best shake Eora.
The pallid knight looks down at you, a frown etched deep in her otherwise statue-still features.
I am afraid we are not at our best.
No.
The Watchers return. Perhaps we should hear what she has to say.
Helia's birds chatter anxiously among themselves. Wal's many eyes alight on each god in turn.
We make little enough progress on our own.
Who's Whale again? Oh yeah! Secrets and perception. Progress? Are you planning something new?
We try, but agreement eludes us.
Andra's storm-dark eyes swivel to meet yours.
Is there nothing we can do?
Magrin glances at the pallid knight from the corner of her eye. After a thoughtful pause, she speaks.
The time has come for us to seize the power we have long left untouched, and absorb our scattered children.
Andra nods, her lure bobbing bright.
Terrible though it would be, perhaps you are right.
Didn't Malgron mention this once before?
I did, and I was scolded like a child for my terrible audacity.
A curl of steam rises from her nose. The pallid knight looks on, impassive.
Should we be killed in our god forms, we can possess you, our godlike children. Or should we face a force too powerful to stand against, we can absorb your souls, granting us additional strength.
What?
Yes, your life and thousands of others would be forfeit to serve the greater good.
The pallid knight speaks with the chilly temperance possessed only by the god of death.
Who's good? Yours?
We are your gods, forged of thousands upon thousands of willing souls sacrificed on the altar of progress. Yes, our good is greater, but the time for that plan has long passed us by.
Are we to keep nothing for ourselves? Not a single secret retained? Not a solitary mystery?
Mogren elbows one of Wal's floating eyes away.
Aethys will lay bare our every secret soon enough. What is one or two revealed now? But
Fair.
we get ahead of ourselves. First, the Watcher must get to Ukaizo, and that will be a trial all its own.
What do you mean?
The Guardian of Ukaizo has stood watch over that place for millennia. It will not stand aside, not even for Bareth's herald.
Fool.
Helia, who had been lost in quiet, anxious conversation with her birds, breaks in.
It yet lives.
Of course. Our progenitors crafted it.
A pair of Helia's finches come to join Wal's floating eye. They hover just out of Mogren's reach and swoop in to poke her when she's not looking.
And the Watcher will be forced to reckon with it if she wishes to confront Aethys.
The birds at last linger too long, and Mogren slaps them away. They burst into a cloud of essence, then reform and fly in a screeching chorus back to Helia.
Guardian of Ukaizo.
A creature crafted by the Ingwithans to protect the machinery of reincarnation. It doesn't care much for visitors.
I would imagine being a guardian.
Will you divulge our every secret to the Kith, Mogren?
Mogren shrugs.
If it suits me.
Go prepared, Watcher. The Guardian will not stand aside, not even for the Herald of Bareth.
Won't Aethys take care of it?
It is not one of Galawain's mindless beasts. It has a heart and a mind, and it will throw neither away to oppose Aethys. And Aethys will not fight the creature. It would prove little more than a distraction for him, especially as my tsunami and Mogren's volcano couldn't stop him.
Why can't you just get rid of it?
It is its own creature, Watcher. It does not listen to us.
There is another topic we have yet to address.
The pallid knight holds up one gauntleted hand, and the other gods fall silent.
Tell me, Watcher, where do you stand? What do you think of Aethys' scheme to destroy the wheel?
This is a toughie. I don't know what I think of his plan to destroy the wheel. I still don't understand what all this means. What will happen when Aethys destroys the wheel?
The pallid knight spreads wide her hands.
Think of the beyond as a reservoir, the in-between as storm clouds, and souls as rain.
Okay.
When a living thing dies, its soul enters the in-between. And when the in-between grows full, it releases souls into the beyond, where they wait to be redistributed to new bodies, new lives. The wheel is the process by which souls are moved from the in-between to the beyond, from the rain cloud to the reservoir, and from the reservoir into the living world. Without the wheel to mediate the transfer and redistribution of souls, the souls of all who die remain in the in-between. And without souls to fill it, the beyond gradually empties, trapping all of the remaining souls in existence in the in-between.
I'm sorry, that just completely skimmed right over me.
When the beyond is empty and the last creature on Aora dies, that is the end of everything. It is Rimergon's future, the one he wants for us.
How does that affect the gods?
Soul essence sustains us. We feed off it, off the little fragments you mortal kiths shed like snakeskin as you pass into your next life. Without sustenance, we starve as any mortal might. We die and leave a great silence behind, an eternal emptiness from which nothing is born.
Nod.
You see then that we cannot help but argue. The fate of life hangs in the balance, and we are as ever beholden to our natures.
Tell us, Watcher, where do you stand?
This doesn't sound like the act of a caring god to me.
And so many will suffer needlessly for it.
It will have a few generations at most before the beyond is vacant of souls, and adaptability is your greatest strength. Aethys believes you will succeed. An uncaring god would not have that faith.
The Pallid Knight knits her fingers together and regards you.
You would take his side? He destroys your wheel!
The Pallid Knight turns unblinking eyes on Wodika.
Put aside your childish notion of sides and open your eyes. You are made blind by your rage.
Aethys loves the mortals more than any of us. He has always been their greatest champion. He believes Kith will rise to his challenge. I am not so sure, but I look forward to watching them try.
How did Aethys fool you all? You're the most powerful beings in Aora.
He found our blind spot and exploited it admirably. By the time we even had a hint of what it was he intended, it was already too late to stop him.
If we still had our bodies, we could oppose him.
Wodika balls her bony hands into fists and glares long at Andra.
Do not lay your blame on me. We set them aside after I killed Abaddon, it is true, but you did not fight the decision then.
She turns her back on Wodika then, and looks instead to the Pallid Knight.
What if Aethys is right, and Kith succeed in rebuilding the wheel? What then?
We'll learn and grow as Aethys intends.
Wal's many eyes bounce and blink in quiet delight.
That would be quite amusing indeed.
And what if they fail? Then they die. And so do we. We have to help them.
Helia's voice rises, near to panic. Wodika drives her fist into her hand.
Help them! We should finally bring them to heel!
The Pallid Knight raises a hand and stares at Wodika until she falls silent.
Watcher, Aethys yet values your counsel.
The Pallid Knight's eyes bore into yours.
An impassioned plea from the Hound of Aethys may still temper his actions. Confront him at Ukaizo.
I'll try.
The future of Kith and the gods rests on your shoulders, Watcher, so I hope that you do.
The Pallid Knight's stern countenance softens.
Time moves swiftly away from us now.
The Pallid Knight spreads her hands before her.
Go, Watcher. Do what you must.
The edges of your vision begin to dim. Like a sun setting, twilight encroaches on your mind.
Wait, what happens if I fail to convince him of anything?
You will not fail.
Cool.
The Pallid Knight conjures a blinding white light in her palm that swiftly grows to engulf the room. Then, the crack of thunder rends the air, and you feel the floor drop out beneath you. You come to flat on your back, staring at an all too familiar ceiling. Alone, once again.
Neat.
Watcher, tell me what's on your mind.
Suffered any recent nightmares?
They're there in my head when I sleep. And sometimes I can taste them on the back of my tongue like a smear of grit. Happens when I take in a particularly volatile soul. I'm glad we talked.
Okay, back to ship times. New. See billows beneath your vessel. Stumbles to the side, grabbing the rail and falling as junk rocks hard to port. Theodore returns to his feet, examining his fingers and wincing. God's alive, handsome Ilium! What in Andra's holy name do you think you're doing up here? It weren't my fault, you sodden bilge rat. Handsome Ilium spits back. The helmsman turns to you. Felt like something went under the ship, Captain. Little Luca gestures wildly to the starboard. Captain! A hand stumbles back to the deck. Either I need to be given a drink for good, or there's a goddamn colossal monster down there. Beneath the surface of the water, you make out a long, sinuous form. No mere fish, the creature swims with 2 pairs of legs and a long, thin tail. Your lungs feel suddenly empty as you gasp, and you gasp as your stomach turns. You fall sideways into light.
The light fades into dim. You stand in a forest glade hung thick with shadows. Tall trees surround you. The shriek of a deer pierces the air before being abruptly silenced. From out of the dark lope a Stelgar and a wolf, followed by a thickly muscled man draped in furs.
Okay.
Galawain.
Herald of Bareth, this place is not for you. Leave.
A smell like rancid blood and days-old sweat wafts off him in a wave.
I will warn you only once. If you tread upon my island, it will consume you.
The large beasts at his side step forward in unison, their tails angrily swishing the air. So you're not responsible for the head I received?
I am not, though Muatu is mine, and I will claim him in time.
Why don't you want me to come here?
I have seen what you do to creatures who will not submit to you. I do not want the same for the residents of this island.
Fair enough, I guess. I was told there was a problem only a Watcher could solve.
You seem to overestimate your importance.
I was told to seek the favor of Toemawai. Is that you?
In a manner of speaking. Its nature complements my own. So I have occasionally acted in its name when the Kith here needed a familiar face to lead their pack.
What is that thing that just swam past my boat?
A glorious beast, and one of the many creatures here that will challenge you, should you refuse to leave.
The long tongue of Galloway's Stelgar companion drips saliva onto the dirt. Its long white teeth shine even in the low light. I don't take orders from you.
Consider it a strongly worded suggestion with consequences attached. I do not care to explain to Bareth why their favored watcher was torn to ribbons by my beasts.
Did you just tell them not to attack me?
I could, but I will not. The island is a trial. To clear the path of challenge for you would run counter to its purpose. To my purpose.
The shadows in the trees encroach upon the glade, inch by silent inch, constricting, waiting. Noted.
I have warned you. May aught that follows be on your head.
With a sound like a thunderclap and a bright burst like lightning, the forest disappears, and you are thrust back into your body. You blink against the fading flash. When you can see again, you find your hands bloodless and aching, gripping the railing of your ship.
Your eyes trace the giant lizard's path towards a nearby island. It seems to be swimming north, away from the waterfall. You lose sight of the beast as it plunges into the depths. Muatu's voice seems a mere whisper after the power of the gods. Never felt such rage from that beast. Hunger, too, and beneath it all, I think fear. Galloway seems pretty unhappy with more than just my presence here. The Lord of the Hunt sent that beast? Mutao's words rise in pitch and volume. Everyone on Kazuari could be in danger. You have to help them. Please, Watcher. His voice echoes at the edge of your perception as your focus returns to the deck of the junk. Sorry, my eyes are having a trouble time focusing on words right now. The crew, eyes wide, stare at you. Calm down, everyone. Whatever it was, it's gone. Aloth's laugh is high-pitched and nervous. Yes, we're perfectly safe now. He eyes the water anxiously. Junk rocks gently. The large landmass beckons. Deadfire sees calm and junk cuts smoothly across its surface, gulls trailing in the craft's wake. At the wheel, handsome alien whistles quietly to himself. Theodol and Eld and Grim stand near the starboard rail, quietly discussing the safest course to your destination. Junk creaks as it crosses the waves. Anything I need to know about, Eld? With a shake of his head, the navigator shoots you a grin. Hey, Captain. Sailing smooth, just working out how best to chart us. Theodore chuckles. Of course, if you had mind to, gorgeous sea like this, I don't think Kith aboard would say no to an open cask of grog. Eld Engrim grins in agreement. Let's break out the booze then. After sharing a brief, disbelieving glance, Beodel and Eld Engrim make for the galley and soon return with a few casks of grog. Soon the sailors are cheering your name and toasting to your health. Color rises in Aloth's cheeks. He shakes his head. Sound of frustration breaks from the back of Shodi's throat. Seraphin grins. I think they be starting to like you, Cap. The breeze tugs at your clothes as the salt-laced air shifts. A long gray line stretches across the horizon. It seems to shimmer like like the air in a hot day. Beodal's nose wrinkles as the sailor stares in the distance. No storm that. Too low and growing too fast. Seraphin's ears flatten against the sides. Flogging fuck, Cap, whatever that mother be. She be moving with quickness. Best be bringing her about while you've got her to bring. Fuck. No? Quiet rumble rolls across the sea as the line grows, a massive swell of water barreling towards junk. Bring us about. I think we're big enough to go over the straight wave. Cool. Deck pitches madly forward toward the sky as you ascend. Your stomach launches as junk vaults waves crest, crashing hard down on the backside of the swell. Crew cry out as they cling desperately to the rigging, and ships groans in complaint. Swell moves past, leaving the sea heaving in its wake. As junk steadies, you regain your feet and take stock of the damage. Handsome alien clings to the wheel and might like it might try and fly away. What in good God's name was that? Beodol groans from behind cargo crate that pinned the poor sailor against the hull. Crew moved to bind the mariner's wounds. Eld Unrim frowns across the sea. Came from the southeast Deadfire, Captain. Round Tikawara, if I had to guess. Or the Black Isles. Maybe there was an eruption or a quake or something. Junk sails on. Anyone else who has bosun experience? Huh? Well, less than ideal. An unusual structure rises from the thick jungle foliage ahead of you. Vines drape on it. Vines drape it like decor, and it takes you a moment to resolve its form. Into the spine and ribs of some titanic beast. Skull faces you, upside down, jaw wide open and gaping. Sharp teeth hang above like the waiting edge of a headsman's axe. Identify skeleton. A variety of large quadrupedal lizards exist across the aura, and judging from its skulls and claws, it seems to be one. The shape of its ribcage suggests an aquatic or amphibious existence. Such creatures can be aggressive. Approach it. Too near the skeleton, you make out a number of rough pieces of decoration hanging from the old skeleton. Crafted from wood and bone, they hang inside the mouth and ribs. Among the other desiccated sacrifices within the mouth, you find the remains of a human corpse. Investigate the scene. Hoofprints of numerous burrows across the space, overlapping with those of kith of various sizes. Examine the corpse. The human the skeleton once was, his arm twisted at his side, legs broken, clearly died in pain. Deep gouges along his sternum and cracks in the ribcage reveal multiple stabbings to the chest, likely the cause of death. That, combined with the raised position of the corpse on thick stones and its prominence in the center of a large skeletal mouth, suggests that this individual died as a sacrifice. Loot the body. The man's pack contains little more than a grappling hook and some rope, but tearing out its false back reveals a large collection of carefully packed deer wooden coins. Neat. Examine the decorations. At first, the rough-hewn simplicity of the ornaments reminds you of wilder totems. Fine etchings in some of the bones seem indicative of Huana. You discover several effigies that appear to be boar-headed kith. Continue along the path. You have only just left the gargantuan skeleton behind when you hear a rustling in the jungle to your left. You hear another to the right. To either side of you, hide-draped kith approach, flanked by bristling boars.
Don't move.
Scars of battle and decoration strip them in the large man's thick arms.
Return to your little boat, interloper. You do not belong on Kazawari.
His companions, each equally well-armed and scarred, stand at ease beside their boar companions, eyes trained on you.
Yeah, you're not welcome here.
Scruffy Orlan, nearest you, jeers. The boar at her side tosses its head and kicks its hooves in the dirt.
Turn back, now, and count yourself lucky you aren't already dead.
Wait, I believe we may have a common friend.
Doubtful.
He spits the words as one would a particularly foul curse. He gave me this. Do you recognize it?
Good for you. He's a hard old bastard to please.
Let's talk about this. There's no reason for this to get bloody.
No.
Tano hefts his blade and grins. The spirit of Muatu manifests beside it in a flash of light. His sudden appearance doesn't seem to register with the scarred Omawa and his crew.
Why did we stop? We ran into locals, didn't we? I doubt they'll listen to reason. Best to kill them and be done with it.
I'm not going to kill them. Scibio and Hatano exchange frowning glances.
She seems a little off. Maybe we should let her be?
All the more reason to make sure this one doesn't have the run of Kazawari.
Belong on this island as much as you do. Let me through.
You think she follows Tawamawai, Hateno? Maybe the faces brought her here.
Yeah.
What say, interloper? Do you trespass on the god's behalf?
I'm the Herald of Bareth. Omawa snorts.
You don't seem to understand this place at all.
I say this one looks soft. I say she will show me what strength she has.
He gestures at you with a blade, slow smile spreading across his scarred face.
No more talking. Now we fight.
Tenno nods to his companions. They ready their weapons.
Let's see the color of your blood!
Okay, dude. I really tried to not kill you. I want it on the record that I tried really hard to, like, spare you. I like how I gave instructions and then my guys completely did all their shit.
Hey, watch it with that.
You see your friend annihilated in about half a second. I don't know, I think I'd be like, hey, maybe this fight is a bad idea. Jungle opens on a small glade, trees encroaching overhead to enclose the space in cool green shade. A stone dais, cracked by roots and dappled with moss and dirt, dominates the clearing. A pair of worn statues, crouched jungle cats, missing eyes, ears, and in one case a paw, flank a short stone well. Muatu's quiet voice plays at the edge of your hearing. This well draws well from the crucible. It should offer ingress. Further careful. Search for traps. One of the stones sinks when depressed, an ancient pressure plate. Nothing occurs, however, when you do so from a safe distance. Perhaps some explorer disabled the trap, or perhaps the mechanism simply failed over centuries, exposed to the elements. Identify the statues. They look like jaguars, rendered in somewhat abstract Tuana style. Markings along their flanks and jowls suggest them to be sacred spirits, sacred beasts, spirits of the jungle. Guardians, perhaps, of this well. Examine the well. The well stands barely a yard in diameter. The mortar between its sides cracked and gray when not entirely absent. A few rocks had crumbled away or been removed. You hear the sound of running water from the depths. Look inside. A stream flows far below, a faint incandescence casting shimmering lines along the well's cylindrical interior. While a grappling hook could certainly be lodged into the well, the integrity of the sides seems suspect. You're not sure the longest rope will reach the bottom. Rope and grappling hook affix the grappling hook to the side of the well. Found likely spot for the hook and wedge its prongs into the gaps between the stones. After a few tugs, suggests that it's secure. God, I'm sorry, I can't read today. My brain is melted. And you lower the rope into the darkness of the well. Send the rope. Hang on to the rope, and your feet guiding the way down the inner walls of the well, you easily shimmy down the hole. The rushing water's roar envelops you as you're running low on rope, and the walls fade away around you to reveal an underground cavern. You know an outcropping of stone nearby, jutting out of the water. Swing to the outcropping. With a few careful swings, you manage to catch the outcropping with your feet and pull yourself tight against the wall. Looking around yourself, you find that the rocky ledge continues deeper into the cavern. The darkness is inviting. Continue. You advance into the dark. The end. Oh, that's new.
As you like.
You still hear the murmur of water behind you when the cave comes to an abrupt end, stymieing your progress. The passage has been closed off by a brick wall, and uneven stones largely obscured by the thick vines. Sorry, my mic. By the thick curtain of vines. Improvise an alchemical concoction. Do it, Shodi. Cool. You set yourself on fire. Fan-fucking-tastic. After a few minutes of concerted effort by Shodi, the cave is filled with a flare violet and green light, the agonized screams of the alchemist. Flames quickly expend themselves, leaving Shodi's hands and arms blistered and blackened. Burn the vines. Few chanted words, the hand signs, Arloth conjures a flame to burn away the vines. In their absence, the wall loses much of its cohesion and collapses. Little light is visible through the hole in the wall, but you can just make out the sound that could be bubbling water or of Kith. Here I was like, oh, my first chance to use alchemy as a skill. Interesting. I'll give that a shot. And it exploded in her face. Only I get to do that. Stumble into a room only brightly lit in comparison to the tunnel from which you came. A man with soft features and round eyes blinks mutely before clearing his throat.
Welcome to the Temple of Tuamawai, Watcher. Home sweet home.
Akira, the wall. What even is down there?
He cranes his neck, peering over your shoulder.
Don't matter none. You're finally here is all. Crowd gets restless waiting. You best get out to the pit.
Friendly, isn't he?
Who are you?
That don't matter none neither. I'm the kith supposed to get you before the people.
Where am I? He stares blankly at you. Wait, what?
Pit. Go out to pit.
He jerks his thumb at a nearby door. I think you may have me confused with someone else.
Akira. You're in Challenger's chamber, yeah? That makes you Challenger. Beyond that, don't matter none. You having second thoughts about the right? Stop. It's too late.
Gestures sharply at the portal behind him.
Everyone champs at the bit to see you in action.
What's going on here?
You're gonna put on a show, is what? Look, you're all wobbly in knees in face of death. I understand. But you should have thought of that before you entered arena.
The Yomo stabs a finger at the archway, then takes a step back, brushing his hand along the column. As he does so, the door closes behind you.
A new challenger joins our eternal hunt.
Huh?
As is tradition, the primal elements shall sort predator from prey.
Triumph or perish. There is neither surrender nor retreat.
Don't go getting yourself burned.
Yes?
Mom.
This is futile!
So help me God, I'll whoop the next one of you who takes aim at me.
Now you be right screwed.
Lava will beyond sea.
Nailed it. Yes, I will take all of these things.
You have completed the first examination. Well done.
Thanks.
Your fury brings joy to this arena, and honor to your name.
Just what I was hoping for.
You have endured what the first of many trials. Return when you are ready to face your next challenge.
Looks like you can hold your own in a fight. That's great! Really useful for not dying.
Guard from before sheepishly rubs the back of his hairless head.
You are alive. Praise Toamawai. I did not, I had not, I should have verified you were intending to join our Crucible Games instead of,
Need to speak to the person in charge.
Yes, of course. Toamawai truly rules this place. But Humaire deals with matters that pertain to lowly kith.
Yes.
Humaire wants to bend your ear. You go find her in Hall of Memories. Straight past me.
Frowns, rubs the back of his head, clears his throat.
Also, sorry about before.
You should be.
You go in now. Humaire stays waiting for you.
Hides drape the broad shoulders of a woman standing before you, and horns exaggerate her already prestigious height. Moss grows in patches of her bark-like skin, and she turns her faintly glowing eyes towards you. Her lips part into a smile, revealing two jagged rows of shark-like teeth.
This is her. This is Humaire, the one we've come to see. She'll show you the way.
Quite the show you put on, Challenger.
One of her hands rests lightly upon the edge of the plinth, beneath the bowl of shimmering water.
Yours is a new face within these hallowed grounds. Strange that. I don't recall the last Challenger to enter the Crucible without first proclaiming their intent to me.
A ghost brought me here, said you might know him.
Then it is you.
Her eyes again roam you, lingering on your legs and arms.
I sent Muatu that you might speak to him and seek us out, Watcher of Cad Nua.
Could have sent a letter, you know.
I wanted to know that you fairly earned your title. That you stand before me proves you a true Watcher.
Fair.
An even half-competent scholar could have found their way here based solely on the design of the crate you sent.
He crosses his arms and frowns at her. How can I help?
Our ancestors constructed this temple as a tribute to the souls of all life. Of predator, prey, and the primal dance that forever binds them.
Okay.
Souls came to permeate these walls. A choir of voices greater than any individual chanter or druid.
That tracks.
They became not unlike a god, at least upon this isle. Great kith from across the Deadfire heeded their song and flocked to Kazuwari, whether to relive the battles of lore or forge legends of their own.
The corner of her mouth twitches into a slight frown. And now something's gone wrong.
Not exactly, or rather, perhaps. A few months ago, the music changed. It became discordant to my ears, as if it and the souls no longer sang in harmony. I think perhaps that it is because of the foreign god stomping across the Deadfire.
Seems likely.
Sure, blame Aethys. Everybody does. Not that he don't sometimes deserve it.
So you called on a watcher.
More stories get told of the Watcher's abilities than there are islands in the Deadfire to hold them. Those that claim the mantle for themselves almost always prove charlatans or lunatics, or both. But if the tales of communion between Watchers and lost souls hold any truth, we might uncover what ails this place.
Has this discordant harmony actually caused any problems?
Over the centuries of contests here, gallons of blood have been spilled in the arena. But the fights have always been reasonable. Now, however, the faces of the hunt summons great monstrosities to pit against green challengers.
It does sound bad.
Even outside the Crucible, the beasts and kith of Kazuwari grow increasingly aggressive. The faces stoke their hostility.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive.
Eager to see blood spilled. You must draw the attention of the faces of the hunt in the Crucible. To contend in the Crucible, you must first complete the rite of passage.
What are the faces of the hunt?
The earthly voices of Tuamawai. They emanate from the statue of him that overlooks the arena.
Of course.
It reflects the three aspects of the sacred hunter. The seeker, the slayer, and the survivor.
What does this rite entail?
The faces of the hunt provide 4 trials. The aspirant overcomes them and earns the right to take part in the Crucible. Or they do not. Either way, blood is spilled, and the faces are pleased.
How do the faces provide these trials?
These walls contain the souls, the memories of the many kith who have come before. These souls communicate their will through the faces of the hunt. The faces stirs the memories, blending essence to summon spirits or manifest beasts of blood and bone. Abilities not unlike those possessed by yourself.
That all sounds rather circular.
Why did you send your ghost to me?
I learned of your abilities in the Crucible. One of Engari's agents brought us a remnant of a battle you had with a ship called the Drake. The Faces used that object to manifest an echo of you aboard your ship. You were quite impressive.
What kind of trials?
Trials of combat. More than this, I cannot say. Only that you will face opponents of spirit and opponents of flesh.
I'll happily lead these spirits into the light.
Let's get started then.
The pool of memories will set forth the challenges that await you.
Her hand slides across the edge of the font of shimmering water.
Peer into its waters when you are ready.
Challenges its 5 elements must endure being hunted by the Naga. Comparable inside. Okay.
Even a weak hunter can be coddled by luck.
Now our challenger must face the archipelago's most insidious hunters, the Naga.
If you can endure venom and vile cunning, then perhaps you have the makings of a proper contender.
Now show us your will to fight!
Let's see who here be the biggest snake. I'd be right happy to lug that for you.
How may I help?
That were a beaut.
Okay. They got to summon the dragon. Don't love that. Worm is low on health. I don't care about worm health.
Perfect. Got to try something else.
Hey, watch it with that. That's not very helpful.
Yucca.
It seems the clever serpents posed no threat to you.
Yeah.
The hunt is not merely the rush of battle, but preparedness and patience before.
Further trials await you, Challenger. Steel yourself!
Well, well, well. Watcher of Cad Nua.
Duelon before you licks his lips as he stares you down.
You honor the Crucible Games with your participation. I am Papilton, and this here is my stalwart team, Papilton's Pact.
Finally, he bows slightly. The feathered tokens of that festoon his armor swaying with the motion.
Since you're a Watcher, I hardly need to tell you my soul is destined for greatness. That must be plain as Aethys' burning backside. It is here, in this temple to the clever hound, where I will carve the next step in my stair to excellence.
Okay.
Bebby's pompous prats, more like.
Those little steps you talking about? For your little Orlin legs, I mean.
Hey, bud, that's racist. Well met, Pippleton. Meet my pack.
Well, maybe his soul is destined for greatness, but I doubt the rest of them is gonna make it out of that arena.
It's mighty fine to meet you, but I am gonna cut your soul from your body if you try to hurt my friend.
Well, now, this is rather awkward, isn't it?
Companions and Pippleton's pack share a long, awkward stare, while Pippleton nods and holds himself with pride. This team is far more sober, and the longer they size you up and through, the less stoic their faces become.
Pleasure is ours. We ought to spar together, maybe compare notes.
Clearing her throat loudly, one of Pippleton's companions points to the waiting arena.
Now, if you'll excuse me, Gloria waits.
Pippleton and his group stride past you into the ring. Say nothing. As the doors close to the arena, the crowd cheering swells. I would have said, like, good luck. Break a leg. Something. So sleepy right now. I don't know why I'm so sleepy.
The next trial will draw from your own memories.
Okay, she reveals a small obsidian knife, leather wrapped around its grip.
Give the blade a taste of your blood, and place it in the pool. A small sacrifice will do. The spirits will attend to the rest.
Why is it always blood? If it was me, I'd be asking for ales. Real good ones, they have to import special.
Adir pulls you aside by the shoulder. He looks hard into your eyes.
Listen, I would not trust a blood sacrifice spirit that can't appreciate crisp deerwood and hops.
Cut yourself with the knife.
Now, add the bloodied blade to the pool.
Okay.
Our challenger returns for the third trial of the rite of passage. This battle is drawn from the challenger's past, the slaying of Merwald the Mad, Sentinel of Cad Noir.
The Watcher gave Merwald some measure of mercy in the past. Perhaps this recollection will show similar reluctance to harm the Watcher.
Though our challenger has faced more dangerous foes, few have remained as terrifying in death. For Merwald's madness is a but inevitable fate for our challenger as well. The old wizard was a portent of things to come.
Now witness as the Watcher contends with an unparalleled foe! Her beginning and her end!
Sorry, I'm like fucking dozing off right now. It's a problem.
Hey there, old man. Long time no see.
Of course.
Fuck. Sorry, I think this is gonna be a short stream because I am nodding off and it is a problem. I don't have like real good caffeine to jumpstart my brain.
So help me God, I'll whoop the next one of you who takes aim at me.
Get fucked.
That's it. Lava beyond.
Where's my fucking heal spell? Okay, fuck. Healing spell. Healing spell.
The weight of your past does not change you. Not in the heat of battle, at least.
One must approach every foe with a clear mind, unbound by what was and what could have been.
Regret grows heavier the longer one carries it. Harvest what you need from it, and discard the rest.
Okay.
The next step of this dance winnows our would-be champions. The bloodletting.
Bloodletting? That sounds ominous.
The last of the trials, the bloodletting, pits you against other contenders, each undergoing their own rite of passage. In their triumph, the victorious shall complete the rite and secure their place within the crucible.
All right.
To them alone shall the island reveal the first of its mysteries.
Killing others is the price of admission?
It is an honor to progress into the crucible. The winner gains glory. The fallen contribute their memories to this place. Either way, the competition is a form of immortality.
Say
It
nothing.
is an honor to progress into the crucible. The winner gains glory. The fallen contribute their memories to this place.
So you said.
Either way, the competition is a form of immortality.
This is madness.
You may choose to turn away, but this place needs you. If you reject that calling, many may suffer in your stead.
She frowned down at the shining water.
The pool of memories awaits you.
Let's hope some caffeine gets me boosted.
Our newest crop gathers for the culling.
Wakes me the fuck up.
Their task is simple. Slay or be slain.
Those who survive earn the right to contend for the champion's crown. Let the hunt commence.
It appears only one of us will be finding greatness in the Crucible.
Dressed in his gaudy armor, the diminutive Pippleton taps his brow in impish salute.
Know that I bear you no grudge. A shame you must die so that we may live.
Fires at his side look to the stands, raising weapons into cheering crowd, or winking at some admired spectator. Bear you no grudge either.
Then let us show this rowdy crowd what an honorable fight looks like. Farewell, Watcher. May the gods welcome you.
Careful, Cap. Him being short don't mean he ain't mean.
I can't whack him any harder. That's it.
So help me God, I'll whoop the next one of you who takes aim at me.
That's where the heal spell is. Okay.
That was about as useful as a bump on a...
Damn, Pippleton's fucking staying in the game here. Not for long. Ain't that good? Ooh. Charm beasts for 15 seconds when you kill a beast. Superb arquebus. Superb plate. Alright. Soul energy swirls around you, pressing heavily against your esoteric senses. With slight exertion of will, you can detect the ambient essence. Burp. I don't want to empower my ghost friend. That seems weird. Like, he seems fine. Send soul essence to the wheel. You attempt to return the souls to the wheel, but find your efforts stymied. It seems that something blocks your way to the beyond. To the wildlife. You allow the energies to settle into the arena, even as you feel some of the power escaping into the wilderness beyond.
Glorious combat reveals our contender from amongst the challengers!
Uh-huh.
Rest and return anew, for the crowd is eager to see you hunt again, contender.
Uh-huh.
Right? What now? Pool of Memories water seems more luminescent than before, and Humer gestures towards the font with an open palm.
Congratulations, contender. Having endured the rite of passage, you earned the privilege to compete with other proven hunters.
She scoops the talisman from the pool and holds it dripping before you.
This token represents you and no other. Wear it proudly. It shall drink the essence of your actions, your triumphs, and your accomplishments, that the souls within these sacred walls will recognize them on your return.
She pressed the bangle into your hands with a toothy smile. I'm honored.
And we are honored to have such a talented hunter in our midst, Good Watcher. Your next challenge will take you outside the walls of this arena. The island demands an offering, something to feed the pool of memories. Some relics sacred to this place have been taken and need returning, and others, undiscovered, await a hunter capable enough to find them.
She smirks, her serrated teeth barely visible between her cracked lips. How many of these sacred objects am I supposed to find?
It is assumed you will hunt with reckless abandon, and return all that you can, if only for the thrill of the pursuit. As for what is required, contenders are expected to return at least one relic sacred to the Seeker, Slayer, or Survivor. Whichever face best aligns with the hunter within you.
Does this mean the Crucible has accepted me? When do I talk to the faces?
You survived the rite of passage, but you are yet shark bait to the faces. But now you can begin to demand their attention through your actions.
Sounds easier than fighting in the arena.
If you say so.
Godlike chuckles quietly. She lowers her voice and leans close. She smells sweat and peat.
Each area of the island draws the attention of a particular aspect of Tuamawai. While you scour the island, watch as only a watcher can.
She straightens.
Speak with Ngari, Keeper of Memories, in preparation for your hunt. He will set the path before you. Return with your trophy, contender, and may Tuamawai guide your way.
She bows her head and turns away. Okay, I'm actually gonna go AFK real quick, because I need to use the restroom. So, be right back. And so I'm back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here without that look upon your face. Dominga. Who are you, Dominga? Dwarf woman sits behind a low table, the wrinkled skin of her eyes and mouth betraying her venerable age. Coils of ink-black hair, shot through with the occasional streak of gray, tumble down around her shoulders. She examines you through narrowed eyes.
Hello, traveler. We reserve these modest quarters for those challenging the rite of passage or contending in the crucible.
She gestures to the dank room full of tall bunks through the door to her left.
Teleumare told me that you are to be extended our hospitality. For the moment.
This is supposed to be an inn?
Was that a rat or a dog?
Our beds are simple, but we offer a variety of training spaces in which to hone your skills. Spaces unavailable to mere spectators.
Let me see what you got.
Of course. Let me show you around the grounds.
She stands, pushing the chair back into the corner. Forgetful night? Let's get rid of Shoddy's injury. Neil.
Now here's something.
The elf stands before a cart, one thin hand twisting a small tool against a thick strap of leather he holds gingerly with his other. Shoes on his lower lip. His brow knit in concentration. The acrid scent of poultices and potions haunts the air around him. What's that you're working on? The man's eyes flicker up to you, return to his task, then widen before shifting back to you. His mouth gapes, closes, and gapes again. He swallows.
Yes, my apologies, traveler. I just got a little wrapped up in it's a personal project, and now I am going on about nothing.
He gingerly sets the tool and device down on his cart and brushes his palms together. Beaming proudly, he shows you a belt filigreed with copper wiring. You note small Adra stones within the tangled wires. The buckle appears to be made of copper inlaid with Adra.
I call it Neil's Auroral Transubstantiator, or perhaps the Essential Battery Array, or maybe I would, well, name's not important. It's meant to collect and store ambient essence in an accessible form for dynamic usage at a later time.
Meant to, an animancer's favorite words.
He sniffs, casting a sidelong glance at the belt.
Doesn't look like it can store half so much as my lantern does.
I don't see an overflow valve or exhaust. What happens if it absorbs too much essence?
What? It's a prototype. There's still, work to be done. Hardly ideal, I'll admit, but you'll notice the branching circuitry and balanced Adra receptacles. Combined, those should serve to minimize the risk of overload or essential dissociation. Well, theoretically. This jungle, and more so this arena, it's in a state of essential flux. The density of ambient essence here goes far beyond anything I've seen elsewhere in the world. But to collect that power, to harness it, I need the help of a contestant in the Crucible.
This is most ill-advised.
Aelith scowls and takes a few steps away from you.
Think if I wear that belt, I'd sleep better at night?
What do you intend to do with the energy once I've collected it?
Alchemists, you see, are limited to the materials they harvest. Yet the processes we employ ultimately draw their efficacy from the essence present in all things.
Is that true?
By infusing potion ingredients with ambient soul energies, I hope to significantly increase the efficiency of the process. The end result? An almost limitless draft!
I might be able to help.
You would?
His broad smile brings his dimples almost to his eyes.
That's fantastic! So, you see, during each fight in the arena, the essence presence spikes fantastically. Some of this is the result of magic, or released energy, owing to, well, the death of the fighters. But the arena itself manipulates essence too. It's really quite a thing to behold.
How do I fit into this?
All I would require from you is to wear the belt. Well, competing in the Crucible, I mean. And then, of course, return it to me, obviously.
I've begun the Crucible. I'll wear your special belt.
Fantastic! It's ready. Just wear it during the fight, and return it once it's fully charged.
Deals shock damage and causes stun for 4 seconds to everyone near the wearer on unconscious. Interesting. All right. Okay. So we got a belt of greater explode myself. And we got a quest to get out of here and find stuff.
Ado, and welcome.
Tall woman, adorned in well-crafted, finely polished armor, bows to you, her dark hair almost brushing your face.
Please acquaint yourself with my weapons and armors, lest you become acquainted with death in the arena instead.
Oh. She chuckles and steps aside to reveal rows of sharp blades and unblemished armors. Let me see what you have.
See for yourself, per complainta.
Nothing great, actually. Meanwhile... Fine. Okay. I'm starting to get superb stuff, so... So much stuff, selling, oh so much stuff. Superb. Okay, all this is at least superb, and thus better. God, okay. Oh. Wish I could wear cool hats, but as a spooky one, I'm not allowed to wear hats. And I get that. 'Cause my head's all weird.
Greetings, stranger. Akira, aren't you the dangerous looking sort?
I would imagine. The old woman smiles warmly, revealing sharp teeth.
I have all sorts of fine magical items. Will save your life in the pit as sure as Ngati's thrashing stirs the sea.
Her hand indicates the trinkets in the stall behind her with a fluid, sweeping gesture. Let me see what you have.
Always the finest items.
I don't know. None of this is particularly good. I left the crucible the wrong way, which is annoying. Okay.
It's an arena my god hasn't walked through.
Leave. How do I get out of this place? There?
You must gather your party before venturing forth.
Okay. So that's nothing. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but my cat is asleep behind me, and he is snoring, and it's really cute, because he's a tiny baby. Okay. I'm so fucking... Deadfire. That's not... How do I... Let me go through the fucking woods or something. Like, let me go around the crucible. How do I navigate this stupid island? Is this a door out? Listen for an the man before you boasts warm avuncular features and great patches. And great patches his tightly curled black hair. He smiles warmly as you approach.
Greetings, friend, and welcome. You stand before the Keeper of Memories.
He bows slightly at the waist. You keep memories?
Don't everyone keep memories?
Those vanquished in the Crucible leave behind their weapons and armor, both often laden with memories of life. It falls to me to keep and protect those trappings and recollections.
Anything short of a full soul left clinging to a weapon is likely little more than dust, or entirely insane.
Everyone believes they know my work better than I do.
How do you preserve memories from these items?
We first wash the items in the pool, and in doing so, give the memories to the souls of this place. Thus do their deeds live on beyond them. Most items carry little more than the strongest memories of their use.
He plucked dismissively at his tunic, as if to indicate its baseness.
A few, however, abundant with essence and charged with purpose, retain unusual attributes. These I care for, curate, and purvey to those worthy of their enchantments.
With a warm smile, he runs the finger along one of the blades. These would be the artifacts Humer mentioned.
The Crucible recreates battles and conflicts of old, that today's hunters may hone their skills. The Pool of Memories is the library for these histories. These stories aren't told to the Crucible. Instead, items held by those who performed great deeds echo with these accomplishments. The Pool of Memories absorbs the past from them. As a contender, you will be expected to recover at least one of these relics. I can point you in the right direction, but first I must ask, which of the faces of the hunt do you seek to appease?
I need to find an artifact for the seeking face.
Every year we lose hunters to the Kohatkana expanse. Usually they're tracking last year's hunters. But nowhere in my notes have I found out what first enticed Kith to go prowling around that corner of the island.
Rank foolishness, I'd wager.
Not surprisingly, the expanse has become a sacred place to the Seeker. Return with something a failed Seeker before you left behind, and the spider will be pleased.
What do I have to kill to find an artifact for the slang face?
A group of drifters claiming to be eager contenders showed us their true colors. Days ago, while most of the arena slept, they helped themselves to one of our Slayer relics.
Huh?
Unfortunately for them, the boat they came in on sunk, and it is a very long swim to anywhere beyond the auspices of the Faces.
He chuckles quietly, sharp teeth glinting between his lips.
The thieves were last seen heading toward Wakupoko Lowville. Slay them, return the relic to the Pool of Memories, and the slaying face will be most pleased.
I'll do anything to find an artifact for the surviving face.
The Tiebe o Waiapu has long had a reputation for being inhospitable. Yet, the sounder of boars that call the valley home seem to flourish there. Were you to return with proof that you had tread the valley's singular dangers, the surviving face would be well pleased.
I'm ready to begin the hunt.
Galarde, I will see the western doors opened for you.
Ah. I see. I missed the part where it said, you have to talk with him. Thick, humid jungle gives way before you to empty air. A vast chasm divides you from further progress, descending to a churning white froth below. A bridge of wound rope crosses the gap, planks of dark wood supported between the strands. Examine the bridge. Thick rope has been well anchored, each line wrapped tightly around tightly tied around one of a pair of heavy stones. The knots have long since crusted over solid. There's no untying them. The sun has bleached the wooden planks to a dull gray. Consider the quality of the wood. The wood looks good for burning, but little else. It will not likely hold much weight. Consider the integrity of the planks. Garner no further insight. Consider the construction of the bridge. The edges of the wood seem somewhat splintered rather than cleanly cut. It seems no attempt was made to seal the planks. The rope seems of stronger make, but it could stand to be reinforced. Carefully cross the bridge. You gingerly step onto the bridge, favoring the rope and avoiding the wooden planks as much as possible. The ropes feel secure beneath your hands, and you move confidently along the structure. The bridge bucks you like a dinghy upon churning sea, and you stumble. Your foot falls hard on the next plank, then, with a blood-chilling lurch, passes through it. You tumble forward. God damn it! Your fingers grasp tightly to the suspended plank, leaving you dangling far above the winding river. Pull yourself up. Cool. Forcing your shuddering muscles to obey, you heave yourself back onto the bridge. You're still shaking as you get to your feet. Final step onto solid ground, you complete the crossing and find yourself in the thick foliage of Central Island. Great. The forest thins into scattered glades along the western cliffs of Kazuari. Trees stand sentinel, overlooking the sheer stone plunge into the Deadfire Sea. You turn north, only to enter a large open field ringed with wood and peppered with small clumps of dense forest. Clouds of insects hum over the rotten remains of discarded carcasses. The path before you looks roughly disturbed. Investigate the scene. Though it's difficult to discern from the chaotic wreck of dirt and grass, it seems multiple sets of kith tracks came from the direction you did and continue towards the coast to the northwest. Another set of tracks, these from some manner of clawed beast, came from inland and followed the same path as the kith tracks. Follow the kith tracks. Kith tracks bend around the field, largely following the tree line. You stop short as you come across the scene. Congealed blood pools on the ground and gore splatters the nearby trees. Flies cloud the air. Investigate the kith tracks. The receding tracks part in opposite directions. One pair cuts directly west towards the edge of the island. These are evenly spaced and far apart. The length of the strides and directions and toes suggests the kith was running. The other pair trails along to the north. The print suggests one leg was dragged behind the other. The ground is splattered with drops of blood. A deer points to a thin coating of silvery dust coating the nearby leaves. Somebody threw a spark cracker, probably as a distraction. Follow the unwounded kith's tracks to the west. Cut west into the deepening forest, following the tracks grow further apart, the trail left behind them broad and bordered with broken boughs. They end abruptly at a cliff overlooking the sea. You discover the broken corpse of a fur-clad folk on the rocks 15 feet below. Seabirds peck at the remains. Determine how he died. Between the scuff marks at the edge of the bluff and the sprawled body below, it seems likely he ran out of the forest and off the cliff. Check the corpse for valuables. The climb down to the corpse isn't difficult, and you find yourself among the dead competitor's gear, some hunting supplies, and a few spark crackers. Backtrack and follow the other Kith tracks. Return to the scene of the carnage and locate the other tracks. The Kith's trail leads north along a winding path through the forest. Every few feet you find blood smeared across a leaf or pooled within a footprint. The steps grow increasingly close to one another as you follow them. You find some dried blood crusting from the trees. Then, ahead of you, along the path, you make out a figure seated in the shade of a thick-trunked tree. The dwarf isn't moving. Search for the presence of other minds. Sense a faint, incoherent thought swirling around the body, swallowed by a thick miasma of agony. Approach it. You make it to the tree and find a solidly built dwarf clinging to a small pack. One swollen eye half opens and gazes through you. The hunter's voice rasps through dry lips. I am Slayer of Champion. He coughs weakly. Examine his wounds. Bone and viscera are clearly visible within the rents of his armor and skin. You're pretty sure that his liver is sliding out of his belly. The incredible thing is that he's held out as long as he has. Heal him. Magic washes over the hunter without much apparent effect. He's beyond magical healing. Search for the creature that hurt him. You make a backtrack along the Kith's trail. You're not sure what it is. Perhaps the rustling of the grass is just a tad too intense to be the wind, or the way each of these corpses seems to have gotten only a little further than the last, but you have an uncomfortable feeling that you're being watched, or perhaps stalked. Sneak towards the nearest copse of trees. You move quietly, but Jody fails to match your stealthy steps, stirring the grass as two or more of you move towards the copse. Seemingly from nowhere, a massive cat pounces on Jody, knocking her to the ground and breaking long curved claws down her side. The beast bounds away before you get a moment to react. You help Jody stand and the pair of you bolt into the trees. She didn't get an injury from that, though. Interesting. You catch glimpses of muscular furred forms moving between the trees. Confront whatever lurks in the grass openly. You stand your ground, steeling yourself for whatever approaches. Big kitty. Bye-bye, big kitty. Right. Center shard? Oh. As the bright glow approaches, the rhythm of a heartbeat, not your own, thumps in your head. The light coalesces into muscular features of a hulking Omoa striding toward you.
Oh, God!
The spirit shrinks away from the glow with a terrified yell.
Watcher!
His soul rollers as if in challenge. He points a thick gloved finger at you.
I wanted tougher. but you will suffice.
Sorry, but what?
Listen better!
Cute royals from the spirit.
Return your trophy to the old man. There is much left ahead of you to hunt, and far more to kill.
Huh? Lines of his face lose definition they possess, blurring into a featureless mass until the entirety of his form evaporates into thin air.
Well, wasn't he fun?
Any idea who that was?
Hard to say. He certainly wasn't nice, was he? Poor attitude aside, he knew of Ingari, and he knew what you're up to. You should be careful.
Let's go.
I wonder if we'll run into more like him if we continue with these trials.
The deeper you travel into the island's southwestern wilds, the denser the jungle becomes. The air thickens, heavy with humidity, and the impenetrable canopy allows only the faintest light from the sky above. The path narrows into gloom before you, the persistent drone of insects subsiding into soft whispers on the edge of hearing. Enter the forest. Tendrils of gray fog creep across the roots and vines, rising slowly, reaching. As you push further into the island's expanse, the air grows opaque, and the quiet murmurs carry on the faint breeze. Just as it reaches its thickest, the foggy morass parts like a curtain, revealing again the path before you. Forks to the left and right, each path looking roughly as passable as the other. Inspect the paths. There's no hint of animal tracks here, neither animal, wilder, or kith, as if the trail's never been traveled. Always be lefting. You follow the trail and quiet rustling sounds murmur from the obscurity of the undergrowth. The path forks again before you. Between the two paths you find a simple statue, a stone pedestal topped with the many-eyed face of the Seeker. Examine the statue. The statue has clearly been standing at the fork for ages, the lines weathered and details worn away by the elements. Moss grows around the base, and vines hang down from the spider-like head. The Seeker's eyes stare at you, unblinking. Yet everything about the sculpture, down to the draping foliage, seems impossibly symmetrical. Everything except one eye missing from the statue's right side. Interpret the statue's meaning. Seeker is rendered with an eye missing, or perhaps the eye has been removed since, the statue defaced by some other contestant in the island's games. Shodi examines the figure. Strange, isn't it? The Seeker being presented as blinded? Partially so, anyway. Think the Seeker's cult respects the blind any more than the Slayers the feeble? The left trail? Oh no. As the jungle grows darker as you press ever more deeply into its heart, the path forks again before you, and while the split looks slightly similar to the last, you can tell it bears enough difference to suggest you're making progress. Between the two paths, you find a simple statue, a stone pedestal topped with the many-eyed face of the Seeker. Seeker is rendered with an eye missing, or perhaps the eye's been... Take the right trail. As you press deeper into the jungle, the path narrows as the trees were looming ever nearer, threatening. They seem almost displeased with you. The susurrus whispers in the woods grow, sounding less like insects and more like the chittering of some unseen audience. A rush of shifting leaves above serves as the only warning you get before a massive bulbous form of a giant spider descends from the canopy. With impossible quickness, its legs wrap around Seraphin, and the beast descends again into the shadowy recesses above. Seraphin's shouts go abruptly silent. Careful, Watcher. The visions are showing me monsters most terrible today. Of course, if a giant spider did just steal one of our own, we ought to hurry if we want to get back alive. Path broadens and splits before you, impossibly returning you to a very familiar fork. Left trail. Left trail. Right trail. Path separates again, but this time there's no plinth and no bust of the Seeker. Instead, you find a third path central between the two others. While the path on either side appears almost reflections of the other, the central path looks cramped and overgrown. It descends into a dark cave. Take the center trail. You enter the cave, making your way through the winding darkness. For a time you hear nothing save your own breathing. Then the whisper of insects draws you forward, growing gradually until it almost hits the air to humming. The cave disgorges you into the jungle, though the darkness is so deep that you do not at first realize you've emerged. The chittering of mandibles and movement and heavy, many-jointed limbs echoes above and around you. Shout, "Give him back, you fiends!" The jungle answers only in ceaseless chitters. Search for enemies. See nothing to attack and nothing likely to attack you. Move cautiously forward. The path broadens before abruptly terminating in a broad, open clearing. For a moment, it seems as if the jungle itself is aglow, each tree limned in faint green. Then you see the source of the illumination, a skull almost afire with soul energy. You get no chance to retrieve it, however, as spiders descend upon you from the darkness above. Where the fuck is Seraphin?
Hey.
Aye, aye. See you, too.
Smart stoning.
Alright.
Not to alarm you, but I'm slowly dying of poison.
about to mix.
Where'd all these other spiders come from? There were like 3 at first. The soul shimmers before you, her faint glow reflected by the trees. Flowing gossamer silks sheath her form, and long black tendrils of hair crown her head.
Do you see her too?
The Crucible still serves its purpose, bringing Gallowaynes devoted to battle, bringing battle to Gallowaynes devoted. But a wound, a tear, festers in the heart of this place.
Wound? What kind of wound?
I ask you to risk life and limb in the Crucible, but the desired outcome is not your death.
Okay, what is it?
The future of this place depends upon you seeking the champion's crown.
Okay.
Souls that prowl this island writhe in disharmony. Without your help,
The image falls silent as the woman's form loses definition. In the span of a breath, the apparition dissipates entirely, her words unfinished.
Oh, where'd she go? Hello, spirit lady?
Any idea who that was?
Not a clue. Perhaps she was the Seeking Face. Or perhaps some other poor soul trapped here on Kazuari.
Do you sense the turmoil she spoke of?
Not really, but I don't feel trapped here. Exactly. Not like she does. I came willingly, after all. Died willingly, I mean. And I've got you, right?
Let's go.
Perhaps if we complete the other trials, we'll find similar spirits. And hopefully they'll be a touch more cheerful.
I have my doubts, dude. Okay. A long, arid expanse stretches before you, bordered on each side by dry, jagged cliffs. A handful of sharp-leafed trees and scraggly shrubs share the landscape, but the miles are otherwise desolate. In the darkening distance, you make out a faint glow high among the stony promontories. Use spyglass. You set your spyglass southward, toward the distant peaks. Through the lenses, you see no reddish light at all. You lower the instrument, and the strange illumination reappears. Perhaps as a natural illusion, some trick of the atmosphere. Thoughts? Wonder what you think, but only you can answer that. Thoughts? Idir frowns at the length of the gorge. Not looking forward to it, but the only way we're getting to the end of this valley is through it. Press further into the valley. Pick your way through the dry stones and thorny brush. You swipe at stingy insects and scare off hissing lizards. The land itself seems set against you. The valley narrows for a time to the point where only 2 kith can walk abreast. You approach an ancient structure of stacked stones. The stones appear precarious. Blast it apart with magic. The resounding blast of arcane might, the stones are knocked from their perches and fall to the ground below. You pass through without difficulty. Check on the glow. Made some progress down valley, but the light still seems distant. Ugh, you still with me? Hands on her hips, panting, Shodi shakes her head. Didn't matter if I had scrapes, bruises, or bones poking out of my skin. Uncle Angbert always told me the same dang thing. Walk it off. So don't worry about me. I'll keep going right up until I'm dead. Press further into the valley. Continue on, forging ahead against the hostile environment. The rocks shift above you, then tumble down the cliffside. Leap to Aloft's defense. Throw yourself between the stones and Aloft, taking the blow upon your shoulders. Ow. Check on the glow. Light still seems distant. Press further into the valley. Continue on, forging ahead against the hostile environment. As you make your way forward, the pebbled earth shifts out from under you, plunging into a hidden crevasse. A deer grabs you and hauls you back up the solid ground. Deer brushes the dirt from you before you continue on. Push further into the valley. Continue on, forging ahead against the hostile environment. A wide crevasse opens before you, spanned by a line of old rope. Look for another way around. Takes several hours, but you manage to circumnavigate the gorge. Oh, you still with me? Aloth frowns peevishly. That depends. Is there purpose to this trek? And more importantly, a cool glass of palm wine and a long, warm soak at the end of it? Check on the glow. Push further. Continue on. Boulder blocks the path, and you have to push it out of the way. You succeed, but it rolls aside. But as it rolls aside, it crushes the deer's hands. Cradling his hands to his chest, the deer begins to lag behind. A deer was injured. Oof. Oh, you still with me? Seraphin wipes the dirt and sweat from his furry blue brow. God, Scab, I'll be right hornswoggled if I ain't recognized for now your masochistic tendencies. Still, we be making some progress. Push further into the valley. Darkness falls as you continue deeper into the valley. The footing seems even more treacherous in the gloom. Soon enough, Shodi slips and falls, head knocking hard against the stone ground. You help your companion up, only to be waved off. I'm fine. But Shodi's progress is notably slowed. Press further. Continue forging ahead. Find the valley beyond, partitioned by a veritable wall of brambles. Burn them. Alice clears the plants ahead of you, but a flaming branch falls upon your companion. With a groan, your companion resolves to carry on. Aloth was injured. Think we're finally almost there. How you holding out? Press further. As you push forward, further toward your goal, what seems intently like a heavy blush of exertion across Seraphin's face grows into an increasingly weeping rash of broken sores. Talk to salve? Soothe the sores with magic. The sores resist the magical attempts to treat. fucked itself. There aren't enough herbs available in this hardscrabble canyon to create a reasonable treatment. Seraphin waves it off as unpleasant, but ultimately bearable. Fucking hell. Check on the glow. Travel quite far in the valley. It does seem to stretch as far behind you as it does ahead. Push further. Continue on. Sweat-soaked and utterly exhausted, Seraphin begins to lag behind, muttering quietly about putting one foot before the other. Nothing even happened to him. He just got tired. We can take a rest, guys. Why is take a rest not an option? Press further into the valley, forging ahead against the hostile environment. You trudge along the valley floor. The sun beats down on your party, blistering Aloth's skin. You notice your companion begin to slow behind you. Fucking hell. Aloth now has sun poisoning. Press further into the valley. Continue forging ahead. When you finally reach the end of the valley, it comes as almost a surprise. The cliff looms above you, crowned by the faint red illumination. Perhaps it's simply the glow of the setting sun. Check on your group. Though the remainder of your party lags some ways behind, they're more or less keeping pace. Rope and grappling hook. Throw it up. Failure. After the rough passage down the valley, your arm refuses to cooperate. The grappling hook falls back to the dirt at your feet. Sigh. You feel slightly better. Climb the cliff. After the ordeal that lies behind, climb up the rock face taxes your dwindling reserves. By the time you reach the top, your muscles ache, your mind swims, and your vision blurs. You're alone at the top of the promontory when you hear something moving behind a rock. Wait the remainder of your party. Resolve not to press on alone, but the rest of the party makes little headway as the sound gets ever nearer. The red glow glows as its source comes into view, a necklace crafted from the shard of vermilion Adra. The necklace hangs from the tusk of one of the largest boars you've ever seen. Great. Great. Fantastic. Blood boards, quills bristling, snorts and stamps its hoof. The beast is taller than you are and much heavier, all muscle, bone, and tusk. Who's a good boar? Who's a good little-ish boar? Flops over, eyeing you warily. Sniffs at you, then snorts. Take the necklace from the boar's tusk. The boar blinks quizzically as you remove the necklace from its tusk. Okay. Wispy, shimmering form of an Omoa approaches you cautiously, their posture crouched and wary. Numerous scars and burns dot the soul's lanky limbs, but their face is a diffuse blur, devoid of defined cheekbones and jaws.
An Amawa soul. Do you see him? Or her? Them?
All that may live.
The figure gesticulates as if to speak, but only distorted fragments reach your senses. Are you asking for this relic?
No. Its memories must join the Crucible. Learn from that relic. Grow as hard as it, that you may live to restore the crucible.
Figure lurches forward, its posture urgently pleading, but no words are spoken, and the form dissipates into nothing.
Well, that happened.
Any idea who that was?
Hard to say. The surviving face, perhaps, or a soul connected to it.
Were you able to understand it any better than I was?
I speak spirit, not crazy. It's like it was reaching out from somewhere far away. Out that we learn more by completing the trials.
Right. Now to go back the way we came. It's not a great buff, but it will get rid of all them injuries. Oh, cool. We don't have to, like, go back. I don't like this scream. It seems ominous. Seems like it's implying we're going to have to fight some sort of giant fireman. And I don't like the idea of that.
I shall make it so.
Okay. So I guess I just hang out in this fight club for a bit.
Our contenders will now face an enemy defined by its formlessness, all but immune to unfocused aggression. Seek the weakest link among the prey, for your foes will not be as flimsy as their appearances suggest.
Okay.
Let's show him the light, Watcher.
Scallywag's hoe, Cap. Nightcap.
I cannot whack him any harder.
Okay. This trial was kind of obvious.
Well, that's not it.
Break all and continue.
Even a formless enemy has weaknesses. Seek the frailty in your prey, and victory will never escape your grasp.
Cool.
If the Watcher of Cadnua is participating in the Crucible, then perhaps we have some reasonable hope of a worthwhile challenge.
Words strike your mind as you walk by a gang of 5 warriors, some wearing expressionless faces, the others poorly veiled smiles. The presumptive leader of the gang stares at you with unerring focus. She's likely the source of a mental communication. I'm Absentia. I'm guessing you're our competition.
We are the Quiet Five. Many have come to this island seeking victory, but we possess skills and training beyond mere strength of arms. Never before has a group come so perfectly prepared for the patronage of the Seeker.
Pleasure to see other skilled practitioners. Should we face off, it will be a shame to have to slay you. Pulse of warm amusement rolls between her mind and yours, the psychic equivalent of a nod.
While the warrior in me would welcome such a true contest of skill, I concur. Slaying another expert feels akin to wasting good wine.
A ghost of a smile graces her otherwise expressionless face. Bow respectfully, then until we meet again. Quiet Five bow deeply, near perfect synchronization. Quintet turn from you and stride towards the arena's applause.
My contesting friend, I have a thing you may find interesting. Ah, my friend returns. You have acquitted yourself well in your searches, and Toamawai would have you go forth from Kazuwari to hunt artifacts elsewhere in the Deadfire. The Seeking Face whispers of a smooth sphere of Adra, polished in the ocean's depths. Found and lost a dozen times, it is sunken to the bottom of Nekataka, to the ruins below. To claim it from the creatures within the sinkhole, however, one needs keep the Seeker's lessons in mind, that the lure serves the hunter as aptly as the spear. The slaying face growls of the Kraken's eye and a coin heavy with lost lives. It came from here, and the faces would see it returned.
He smiles, all sharp teeth.
It poses you no danger, I promise. The surviving face would teach a lesson, that persistence is not necessarily survival.
He chuckles quietly.
Confused? Seek the altars of the dead in Nekataka, and I believe you will begin to understand. Will you take up this hunt?
I'll think about it.
Ah, well, if not you, perhaps another. Good hunting, my friend.
He bows his head in farewell. Secrets of ooze, secrets of ooze. Everybody loves the secrets of ooze.
Though lumbering and erratic, the ooze is a creature well adapted to its environment. Are you equally adaptable? Or will you fail here?
Mind yourselves. The scent of ooze never washes out.
Hey, watch out.
Damn it. We get hit by shit. Looks like no. That's good. Okay. Fuck these oozes. I ain't impressed. I ain't impressed by no ooze. Those are good to have.
Though your foe claimed a fortified position, you emerge victorious.
Uh-huh. Step away from the blood-scented chaos in the arena into the darkened antechamber. You sense a lurking presence. Sound like stepping through a cobweb.
Again and again, you stand victorious in this sacred place.
What, like it's hard? The shimmering form of a woman you saw in the forest coalesces before you in the shadows.
It seems no weakness escapes your attention. No advantage goes unclaimed.
Sure.
We are not unimpressed.
You say we, who else do you mean?
This place was my life's work, but never was I alone. We desire only your success. When you fed of conflict and suckled on blood, the souls shall sing as one. Rouse them, and they will open the way to us.
What if someone bests me? What will become of this place?
Then this year's champion will revel in victory and do nothing to counsel the spirits within the crucible. And we will pray to Galawain that this place does not fall into ruins before a watcher of sufficient strength comes to do what you could not. Anyone could rouse the souls here, but only a watcher can reach us through them.
I met someone like you in a Valley of Boars.
The surviving face. An individual only bested by time. So long as the Crucible exists, I suspect they will be here. Stubborn, yes, but constant.
The other face used to be a living being? She nods.
As was I. But life is not equivalent to existence. You know this well, do you not?
Just who are you?
The architect. The spinner of this web. The one who sought endlessly and then beyond. We are all many things to many people. To you, I am the seeking face. And a guide, if you'll accept it.
Considering I'm on an island built by a cutthroat competition, it seems safe to assume you're using me.
I openly lure you from one danger to the next. Certainly, the Crucible means more to me than your safety and well-being, but for now, they are one and the same. My hopes rest upon you. It is in my interest, and that of Kazuwari, that you succeed.
I've heard enough.
The contenders fall away in screams and lamentation. A champion will soon emerge.
Cool.
Ready yourself. The Lord of the Hunt abhors the ill-prepared.
The woman's visage thins to nothing.
Another chat with the faces?
Yes, the seeking face specifically.
Strange. I didn't see or hear anything. Perhaps you're more attuned to them now. Or maybe it's because you're among the stones of the Crucible. Regardless, you seem to be on the right track. Keep at it.
Ah, Watcher. I hear tale of another artifact ripe for the reaping.
Spider's web. Let's kill some spiders, I guess.
Few creatures kill with the cold intentionality of the spider. Fewer still can resist the Seeker's children when they work in tandem.
Sure.
Seek the proper unraveling of the brood, lest you be overrun by mother and hatchlings.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I think they'd be looking at me, Cap. I'll be more than half handsy, alright?
Not to alarm you, but I'm... Please, dying with poison.
Okay. Spiders dying, explode into more spiders. Not how spiders work. So many spiders.
Now you be right screwed.
If you have any antidotes handy.
This is futile!
Much obliged. Well, be slicing that stem to stern.
Come on, dear, you can't... Have you even hurt one of them?
I'm fixing to be sick.
God, there's just so many of them. So many fucking... Okay. Now there's significantly less.
Flogging the figurehead.
Okay, good, good, good.
I did not con this spell speak.
It is not enough to find the flaw in your enemy. One must also know how to unweave their advantages. Excellent hunt, Watcher.
Was it?
You have proven your cunning, Watcher, and we deem you worthy to compete for my blessing. Seek the pool of memories when you are rested and ready to continue your hunt.
Okay. Oh hey, it's you again. Find yourself again facing the efficient, coordinate movements of the Quiet Five. They bow to you, a single motion quintupled.
We eagerly anticipate this, Watcher. Will you rise to your reputation? Or does your legend end here, flattened under a superior intellect?
Look forward to this, though I take no pleasure in dispatching you.
In that, we are well matched. Let us not keep the public waiting. They do so love their sport.
Ah, Watcher. I hear tale of another artifact ripe for the reaping.
Contest of the Seeker. Okay, so I think we're gonna do this fight, check out the aftermath thereof, and then we'll call the stream for the night, because I am very hungry and very sleepy.
Those who hunt in the name of the spider, to cull their number and seek the best from their brood. The Quiet Five and the Watcher match minds for the attentions of the seeking face. May our most cunning contender capture victory.
You believe you've chosen to be here. You have not. Every movement you made was orchestrated to bring you here. To us.
One corner of the woman's mouth rises in a faint smirk.
Welcome to the end of your story. Pray, make it climactic.
I'll take the quiet one.
Could be a fight.
I can.
That didn't quite work out.
Me and you are about to mix. Mo ixy on
Lava beyond seek. That's not very helpful.
So help me God, I'll whoop the next one of you who takes aim at me.
And fucking Dunzo, come on. It exploded.
Ain't not my thing, savvy.
There's a weapon.
Boom. Well, shame that. Soul energy swirls about you, pressing heavily against your esoteric senses. With the slight exertion of will, you can direct the ambient essence to the crucible and the wildlife. You allow the energies to settle again into the arena, even as you feel some power escaping into the wilderness beyond. I forgot to check out what Gallowayne's gift was.
The Quiet Five have been matched and surpassed. The Seeking Face chooses the Watcher to represent those who seek. Celebrate your victory, but do not tarry. You soon face the chosen slayers and survivors. Only one can be champion of the hunt. When you are ready, commune with the pool of memories. But for now, thank Tuamawai for guiding you to this moment of victory.
Yeah. Thanks, Tuamawai. Neat. Okay. Alright, well. Also, before I forget it again, let's go give that guy his fucking belt back. Because I definitely will forget about that entirely by next week.
You're back! Does that mean the belt is ready?
Feels pretty warm.
Excellent.
Neil takes the offered belt, setting it on his cart and affixing a pair of copper wires to the outer buckle. They run to a small gauge before terminating in a pair of flasks. The liquid in the flasks shimmer with essence.
It's a weak charge, but enough to start with. Some preliminary tests verify the principles of the thing. Oh!
He rummages through the carton and carefully hands you a human skull. Most of a human skull, anyway. The dome is missing, and thick red liquid swishes within it.
Wouldn't be the first time I drank from a skull. Just don't tell my high priestess.
This skull started me down this path. or this branch of it. It occurred naturally in the arena. A champion died, but his skull was so infused with essence that it produces its own, well, not potion exactly, but, substance.
Thanks.
I shouldn't need it anymore. Not with what you've given me. With what you'll provide.
He grins, but his eyes linger on the skull.
One moment, please.
Turns back to the device, works at it with his tools, then turns back to you.
Here, it should hold a stronger charge now, provided you engage enemies with stronger souls.
He returns the belt to you.
Truly, though, I can't thank you enough times. Was there anything else I could do for you before you get back to advancing the art of animancy?
Maybe another time. So wait, did he give me the belt back? Less than stable coil. What's this? Skull? Huh. Neat. Let's give it to you.
Ahoy.
Okay, so let's get over there. Oh, I leveled up. Arcana and metaphysics. Bigger ogres. Humere bows her horned head at your approach.
Welcome home, chosen of the spider. You and the Seeking Face have established an accord. May you seek greatness with every breath from here to your last.
She nods to Angari, who holds a rapier in his hands.
This belonged to a prior chosen. I will come to claim it when you die. But until such day, may it bring you glory in battle.
Thanks, I'm not gonna use this. Oh wait, is it a soulbound thing? I might use that
It
then.
is we
I'm
who are
honored.
honored by your participation in the Crucible.
Pool of memories bubbles and churns, catching Humere's attention. Her face grows solemn as she peers into the waters.
The time has come then, for the grand champion of the hunt to be decided. Ready yourself for battle. Then gaze into the pool of memories. It shall reveal the final right. The battle that shall determine the champion of the hunt. May the greatest of the great achieve eternal glory in our sight.
Wait, do I not have to go through like the rest of them? I assumed that I'd have to like go through and do like 3 things for the other guy and 3 things for the other one. I'll fucking take that, find that. What? Okay, so what does that need? Apply afflictions to enemies. Interesting. I can do that, I think, as a cipher.
Ah, Watcher. I hear tale of another artifact ripe for the reaping.
Okay, so I can do the Battle Royale. Or I can go through the other ones.
Welcome back. I hope I can be of service, friend.
Have you new rumors of artifacts for me to locate?
Rare is the hunter as interested in the past as the present. It warms my heart to find a spirit as kin to mine own as you. The seeking face approves of your investigations. It whispers now of an ear that hears tell of what is to come. The divinations can be sold for copper among the trinket mongers of Nekataka. The spider would have you claim that ear for your own.
He smiles faintly, as if it's some private joke.
You now know, as I know.
Do you have any items for sale?
Not many, but what I have is exclusively sold to the Crucible's contenders.
He smiles down at your token before his eyes return to yours.
Please, spend lavishly.
With a flourish of one arm, he indicates the items on the shelf behind him. Nothing good. Oh shit, everyone leveled up. Alchemy and history. Athletics and insight. That sounds cool. Okay, explosives, survival. That. Athletics and survival. Okay. So with that, let's call it here. Next time we'll conquer the other two faces and then become Queen Face. And it'll be great. So thank you for watching, y'all. I love you very much. I'll see you next time. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Defund the police. Bye-bye.